Okay, so today we're diving into the life and legacy of Steve Jobs. And
Yeah.
you brought us Walter Isaacson's biography of this tech icon. And in getting ready for this deep dive, it really got me thinking, like, was Jobs this visionary ahead of his time, or would he be even more polarizing today?
That is a fascinating question to start off with. Isaacson, he gives us this really intricate portrait of the man.
Yeah.
And it's true, certain aspects of Jobs would seem tailor-made for, our current era of AI and just this instant information.
Right.
But to really kind of unpack that, I think we have to go back to the beginning,
Yeah.
and really understand his roots.
Yeah, because it's not like young Steve is, surrounded by computers in the 60s.
Hmm.
Isaacson talks about his adoptive father, Paul Jobs, being a mechanic.
Right.
That seems like a far cry from Silicon Valley.
Well, it's in the details, though, because Paul Jobs wasn't just fixing cars. He was meticulous about it. Isaacson even mentions how the young Steve would help out, learning to polish parts, making even used cars look pristine.
Wow.
And it's this idea of seeing the potential in something and then exceeding expectations.
Huh.
Does that sound familiar?
It does. It's like taking something ordinary and elevating it.
Yeah.
It's almost like a blueprint for what Apple would become.
Exact.
And speaking of design, Isaacson talks about those Eichler homes that Jobs grew up around. Sleek, modern, affordable.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Yeah, you can draw a direct line from those homes to Apple's whole philosophy.
Really?
Jobs wasn't just making gadgets. He was obsessed with the entire experience, the look, the feel.
Okay.
That desire to bring beautiful, user-friendly design to the masses. It's not just artistic. It's
Yeah.
incredibly savvy.
Okay. But we're also talking about the guy who, as a teenager, called up Bill Hewlett at home
Oh, yeah.
to ask for spare parts.
I love that story.
That's gutsy even for Silicon Valley.
Well, and it worked. He
Yeah.
called him up.
Yeah.
Hewlett didn't just send the parts. He gave Jobs a summer job.
Oh.
This story always stands out to me because it reveals something I think really crucial about Jobs, and that's his utter confidence in reaching out to anyone he thought could help him achieve his goals.
Right.
He had that fearlessness even as a teenager, and that served him very well, even if it ruffled feathers later on.
Yeah. And, we've got this blend of this meticulous craftsmanship from his dad, an eye for design the guts to call up a CEO as a teen.
Right.
And then he goes off to read college.
Right.
But not for the reasons that you expect.
Right.
Zen LSD calligraphy.
Yeah.
Was he dropping out, or was this another piece of the puzzle?
This is where I think it gets really, really interesting. Jobs famously said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward." And all of these read experiences, they might seem random,
Yeah.
but they were definitely formative experiences.
But how does calligraphy translate into a tech company? Help me connect those dots.
Okay, well, think about the Max fonts. They were revolutionary at the time. Beautiful and readable.
Yeah.
That had to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think that Jobs' exposure to calligraphy instilled in him this deep appreciation for the art of typography.
Okay.
The way that letter forms could be both functional and beautiful.
Huh. So even in those early years, we're seeing the foundation of what Apple would become, this fusion of tech design and a touch of counterculture.
Absolutely.
But the real story starts, I think, when Jobs meets Wozniak.
Right.
Talk about an odd couple.
Well, odd couple.
Wozniak is this tech genius content, just tinkering away.
Yeah.
And then you've got Jobs who sees the dollar signs and a way to share these creations with the world.
Right.
It's the classic garage startup story.
It is.
But knowing what we know now about Apple, it's almost like mythic.
Yeah, and Isaacson, he doesn't shy away from that at all.
Yeah.
That first Apple board built in Jobs' garage, funded by selling a VW bus.
Wow.
I mean, it's the stuff of Silicon Valley legend, right?
All right.
But I think what's crucial here is the dynamic between Jobs and Wozniak.
Yeah.
It really becomes like the heart of their story.
Because Wozniak was all about that pure engineering,
Oh, yeah.
the challenge of creation.
Right.
And Jobs saw the bigger picture, the business, the brand, the way to change the world.
Yeah.
And that difference in perspective, it seems like that caused some friction.
Oh, absolutely. It's a recurring theme throughout the book.
Okay.
Isaacson talks about how Wozniak was perfectly happy to just give away their early computer designs.
Wow.
Whereas Jobs, on the other hand, he is already thinking about market share. And you have this clash with, the idealist and the entrepreneur.
Right.
And it fueled their early success, but it also planted the seeds for conflict later on.
And their that breakout game for Atari,
Oh, yeah.
it really throws Jobs' methods into sharp relief.
Yeah.
It's almost like this early example of what would later be called his reality distortion field.
Exactly. Isaacson recounts this, the story of Jobs bringing this project to Wozniak and saying it needs to be done in 4 days, promises to split the fee with him.
Okay.
But there's this crucial omission about a bonus
Yes?
for using fewer computer chips.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Which, of course, Wozniak pulls off.
Right.
And to this day, there's this debate, about whether Jobs ever fully acknowledged that bonus or shared it as promised.
Huh. It's interesting,
Yeah.
is this ambiguity that surrounds Jobs, even early on.
Right.
Was he cutting corners out of necessity or ambition?
Right. Was it a calculated move or just how he operated,
Yeah.
bending reality to achieve his goals?
Right.
These questions become even more pointed as Apple grows.
And grow it does. The Apple II comes out.
Right.
Suddenly they're not just hobbyists, but a company to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
But then Jobs has this vision for the Macintosh.
Yes.
And that's when things get really intense.
Yeah, the Mac wasn't just another computer.
Oh,
It was Jobs' statement of intent. He wanted a device that was simple, beautiful, intuitive.
Yeah.
He wanted to make technology accessible, even enjoyable for the everyday person.
right.
That's why the design aspect of the Mac, as Isaacson really emphasizes, was paramount.
And that story about the phone book.
Oh, yeah.
Jobs literally plunked it down in front of the engineers and said, that's how big it needs to be.
Yeah, just to give you an idea of the scale.
Wow.
The pressure must have been immense.
Do you think that kind of intensity, that drive to do the seemingly impossible, is what separates someone like Jobs
Oh, yeah.
from everyone else?
I think it's a crucial question.
Yeah.
And it gets at the heart of what Isaacson is exploring with this book.
Yeah.
Jobs had this uncanny ability to just push people beyond their perceived limits.
Right.
He could inspire, he could cajole, he could even bully, but he got results.
Right.
And the Mac, with its revolutionary graphical interface and ease of use, was a testament to that pursuit.
It came at a cost, though, didn't it?
Well,
Because Isaacson doesn't shy away from the darker side of Jobs' management style.
that's right.
The burnout, the clashes, the people who simply couldn't keep up with his demands.
It's the complexity of his legacy.
Right.
He pushed for excellence, but sometimes at the expense of those around him.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, especially in today's context where we're grappling with work-life balance and the impact of technology on our lives,
Right.
would his methods even be tolerated? Or would he be considered even more of a tyrant?
Because even as the Mac was this cultural phenomenon,
Right,
the sales weren't what Jobs hoped for.
right,
It led to that infamous clash with Scully, the Pepsi Challenge guy,
right.
brought in to bring some corporate order to Apple.
Structure.
Yes.
Wow.
And it's Jobs who ends up ousted from the very company he created.
I know, it's crazy.
It's a stunning fall from grace.
It is.
And Isaacson really captures that rawness of that experience for Jobs.
Yeah, you really feel for him.
But it's not the end of the story, is it?
It's not?
Because
Yeah.
then comes NXT.
Right.
And this unexpected detour into the world of animated films with Pixar. It's almost like Jobs needed that time away from Apple to refine his vision.
It's really remarkable. What's interesting is that Jobs, even when seemingly sidelined, he was planting the seeds for his eventual return.
Because NXT, while it wasn't a commercial success,
Right.
it gave birth to the operating system that would become the foundation for Apple's resurgence
It's true.
in Pixar. Talk about a testament to Jobs' eye for talent
Mm-hmm.
and his understanding of storytelling.
It's amazing how these seemingly, disparate threads in Jobs' life end up weaving together.
Yeah.
NXT, it honed his understanding of elegant, powerful software, which would, of course, be crucial for Apple's comeback and
yeah.
Pixar. I mean, that was Jobs betting on the future of digital animation,
Yeah.
but also on this, enduring power of story.
And he was really involved, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Isaacson talks about how Jobs micromanaged everything from the design of Pixar's headquarters
He did.
to the storyboarding of Toy Story.
Yep.
It seems like that need for control, that need for things to be exactly his way,
Right.
it never went away.
Yeah, I think it's true. Even at Pixar, where he's surrounded by these creative giants,
Right.
Jobs could be this demanding, even overbearing presence.
Yeah.
But he also knew how to foster talent,
Okay.
how to push people to achieve really their best work.
Right.
And with Toy Story, I mean, He helped usher in this new era of animation, one that blended artistry and technology in this really groundbreaking way.
It's funny, we often think of Jobs as this tech visionary.
Right.
But his time at Pixar really reveals this deep appreciation for the power of narrative,
Mm-hmm.
for the way stories connect with us on an emotional level.
Absolutely. And I think that's often overlooked in assessments of his career.
Okay.
Jobs understood that technology wasn't just about specs and features. It was
Okay.
about how it made people feel.
Oh,
Look at all those iconic Apple ads. They're
Yeah.
selling a story, an aspiration.
Right.
And that's something that I think he really honed at Pixar.
yeah. And then, of course, the prodigal son returns.
He does.
Jobs back at Apple.
Back in the game.
It's almost Shakespearean, this comeback story.
It is.
The iMac, those colorful, translucent computers.
Oh, yeah.
It was like he was injecting fun back into this world of beige boxes.
It was a statement. Jobs understood that design was more than just aesthetics.
Okay.
It was about emotion, about making technology approachable and even playful.
Yeah.
The iMac was a signal that Apple was back and it was ready to challenge the status quo once again.
But it was the iPod
Hmm.
that really cemented Jobs' legacy as this master of blending design, technology, and marketing.
Yeah.
1,000 songs in your pocket.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a slogan, it was a revolution.
It really was.
I remember getting my first iPod. It changed everything about how I listened to music. What about you?
Oh, yeah. It was a game changer. And Isaacson, he really delves into Jobs' obsession with every little detail.
Does he?
From the click wheel to the minimalist interface, the iPod wasn't just a device. It was an
Right.
ecosystem. And Jobs, he understood that to really transform an industry, you needed both the hardware and the software working seamlessly together.
Right.
And let's not forget the iTunes store,
Yeah.
making it easy, even legal, to download digital music. I mean, that was huge.
It paved the way for the iPhone.
It did.
Another revolutionary product.
Right.
Another industry upended. It's almost as if Jobs could see the future.
He had this uncanny knack for anticipating what people wanted even before they knew it themselves.
Yeah.
And the iPhone wasn't just a phone, it was a pocket computer, a gateway to the internet, a platform for apps and experiences that honestly we're still grappling with today.
But Jobs wasn't some infallible oracle.
That's right.
Isaacson doesn't shy away from these difficult aspects of his personality.
No, he doesn't.
The ruthlessness,
Yeah.
the almost tyrannical need for control.
Yeah.
Knowing what we know now about his management style, do you think he could succeed in today's world?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Jobs was a product of a particular time and place.
Right.
A time when Silicon Valley was, a bit like the Wild West.
Yeah.
Would his methods fly today?
Right.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
We're more aware now of the human cost of relentless innovation.
It's that push and pull that makes Jobs such a fascinating figure.
He is a fascinating figure.
The brilliance, the flaws,
Mm,
the undeniable impact. We've covered a lot of ground here, but I keep coming back to that initial question.
yeah.
Would Jobs be celebrated or feared even more so today?
It's a question that lingers long after you finish that book.
Yeah.
And I think that's the mark of a truly great biography.
What's that?
It leaves you with more questions than answers.
Mm.
Jobs' story, it's this reminder that innovation is rarely neat or straightforward.
Okay.
It's often messy, complicated, and deeply human.
And sometimes it takes a complicated, even flawed individual to push the boundaries of what's possible.
That's right.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of Steve Jobs.
Yeah, this is great.
It's a story that continues to resonate, to challenge, and to inspire.